What's going on, guys? So today on this 00CTOBER review, we're literally doing something that is about a year in the making. And that's because it kind of took that long for it to finally come out. I don't know what happened there. I think this guy was actually supposed to come out last year. And I only just got it in September. Or actually, not even in September. Actually, it was October of 2023, a year later, because I believe this with the Gundam Universe 00 Riser, I think was initially supposed to come here in November of 2022. I could be wrong, but I believe that was the original release date scheduled. And it's been out for a little bit from what I can tell, but I've never seen it on shelves. Not at Target, not at Walmart, anywhere. I ended up picking this up at BBTS. They had it in stock and ready to go. And this was definitely one that I wanted to try to squeeze in at some point for 00CTOBER, and here we are, a year later, kind of doing the last couple things I really wanted to get into the actual final 00CTOBER as it was. So here we are with some extra final 00CTOBER reviews. And as of filming this, I don't remember if I even have the template to make these videos happen. So this will be fun. All right, so we do have the Gundam Universe package. This is one of the more deluxe figures because, well, it comes with a lot. Like Sazabi is one of the other ones that definitely has a significantly larger box than the other normal figures, which is basically like this. And since we got the two Exias last year, I've literally not bought any of these. But this is 00CTOBER. It is what it is. So you do have an image here. Not an image. You have an image there. A great shot of the 00 Riser doing its thing. I believe that's actually some new artwork. And then you see the figure itself here. I believe the actual O-Riser is here behind this panel. You got 00 Riser all there. You got the 00 logo. You've got the Bandai. We definitely didn't steal this seal of approval. Come on here. The thing wraps around. This is Gundam Universe number 23. Apologies, my sinuses are going crazy. Some really cool artwork on the back. I have a feeling this is actually the figure, and then they've just, gussied it up there. It's pretty cool. We got action, articulation. Right, sure. That's the thing. And then you got your two different figures there. Now you got the Gundam Full Burner and then the Leo. These figures I've actually seen in store, so that's why I think that this one just didn't quite make it out there. You got GundamInfo.com. Look for more figures coming soon. I honestly don't care. And then, more stuff down there. Repeat of the box art down there. And right now I'm gonna actually cut to a unboxing for the patrons, and then we'll be back for everyone normal here where you guys can see this. But if you're on the Patreon, you'll see my actual initial reaction to this. So that's a nice little plug there for the Shoki Patreon. Link in the description down below. But either way, let's get to it. That literally hit the light. Alright guys, so here is the Gundam Universe 00 Gundam, or Gundam 00 as it goes. And yeah, I mean it's shaped pretty much like a 00. It's got the green bits, it's got the blue bits, it's got some yellow bits. It's pretty much how it's supposed to look. It does have some added details and such. Some extra stuff here on the elbows. Definitely going to make that a little bit bigger. Thigh here is significantly more detail work, stuff like that. And sorry, I don't have I don't know where all of my HG00 stuff is to bust out for comparison. So I know a lot of y'all will probably want a comparison to the HG or the RG00 Riser. Fortunately, I can't provide that. But what I can compare to is at least its predecessor, with the Gundam Universe Exia, because that was still readily available. Didn't get put away too far. And you can see, much like the actual kits, the blue is actually slightly different. It is kind of funny. And the 00 is actually taller at the head, not just the horn, so it's a little bit taller. But, man, the Exia's legs are chunky in comparison. Look at that. I don't think I ever noticed that. That's crazy. And I assume, I'm fairly certain they have a 00 Quanta. I could be wrong. Maybe it's still coming. I don't know. But like I said before, I wanted to have this hopefully in time for last year, but it definitely didn't make it out in time. Even if it had come out at the end of October, which I think, like I said, it was either October or November it was supposed to come out, and it never did. And then I just kind of forgot about it, to be totally honest. And I thought, hey, wait a minute. Yep, there's that. And then, of course, I've never seen it in store. And I also expected there to be a Trans Am version available at Target or maybe even like Canadian Toys R Us or something. I've not seen any evidence of that either. So, which would be kind of cool, you know, to get the Trans Am version. So either way, let's do some detail on looky-loos here. Oh, by the way, I have a light missing here. There we go. Much better. Oh, I have 2 lights missing. That's what happens when you're doing photo shoots, and now you have to adjust your lighting. And I did mention that there is a behind, or out the box reaction. There we go. I don't need the upper light. Behind, dang it, I'm trying to say. And there is a out the box reaction on the Patreon, so you can go check that out if you're interested. And you can see there, green painted eyes, green painted head, yellow painted horns, red painted little crystal bit. I believe it is just a ball joint, nothing else going on there. Kind of some rough edges here on the white plastic. Yep, that is just a ball joint for sure. Oh, there is a tiny bit of neck articulation forward and back. Didn't actually mean to pull the head off there, but it is what it is. This all looks fine. These are separate little yellow pieces that are inserts. That's fine there. Dark gray. Actually, that might actually be technically my favorite dark gray ever. But then the red is actually painted. That's interesting. Same thing here on the crotch. That's different. That is different. You see the backpack here, though they didn't bother to paint anything here. You got your GN drives effectively here. And these things are pretty limited. So, I mean, that it can go out to there, but there's also no, like, locking mechanism. It kind of stops there from going out all the way, and then out to there it might hold, but I'm not sure. But it definitely doesn't hold intermittent things. It does have a rotation joint. Sorry. Got a rotation joint there and here, but no up and down motion at all. And as far as I could tell, you can't do any rotating from here forward to allow for, say, like the shooting poses. But we'll look at that more here when we get the O-riser out. You've got what I think is just a ball joint shoulder inside there with the hinge. So it's like a ball joint mounted inside there, and then it's a hinge for the actual shoulders. You do have bicep rotation, which is good. You do have a double jointed elbow, but you only get, hold on, wait, maybe I was wrong. So that joint moves, stops, and then I guess you get a tiny bit of extra movement there. But, like, the elbow should go further, but it gets in its own way. But there's a double elbow there. One thing I did want to point out is that the shoulder pads are, you know, ball joint mounted there on top of the shoulder. Actually part of the shoulder joint, so they kind of get up and out of the way like that. Which, by the way, you know, you can go back that far, but this is a totally different plastic to say even like the legs or the arms. This is that soft gummy plastic. This is hard ABS. This is like solid hard ABS. You hear the difference there. All right, let's see here. Torso, just a single ball peg. You can kind of move around a little teapot action. Nothing too crazy. I was hoping there was some hip rotation, but no. Okay, so that's definitely not a thing. All right, didn't know. He is lacking stuff going on back here. We can look at those here in a second. Got some hip skirts that sort of move out of the way. We do have, which are big chunky ball joints into the hips, but then there's actually a drop down hinge in the middle, so that's good. And you can kick forward about that far. It took a lot of effort, but I know that these hip skirts do move up on this really tight joint there. I think that's common for most of these. At least I think I recall it even on the Exia, but that likely will pop off without rotating. So you can only really kick up to there, but you can kick back decently far. And then you do have thigh rotation, basically just built into that ball joint. And it looks like there's some rotation at the top of the leg, but kind of hard to tell, if I'm honest. Maybe not enough to make a difference. Okay, so double jointed knee that's only good for that. Wow, okay. I believe if you were to cut this out, you might actually end up losing the knee, but it would give you a lot more range of movement. That's pretty friggin' sad. You do have paint on these parts. Green paint there, gray paint there, stuff I would do realistically myself. And you do have an ankle, a little bit of ankle movement here. I don't know if that's a ball joint or what, but you get a little bit of there. And then you got a definite ball joint into the foot. Just squeaky, can rotate it. Not really any pivot, pretty limited. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. Okay. And then you have the really, really red painted foot, which also feels different entirely because it is a very glossy red paint. And he can stand like so. Looking pretty defeated, actually, kind of, if I'm honest. So you swing this back, swing that up. So you can really tuck these down like that. Come on. There we go. Zoom in a little bit more. And I didn't point it out, but he has got two of his alternate hands on here. The out of the packaging comes with two fist hands. And like so. I think they're not even clear coated, but it's hard to tell. They're really a dark gray plastic, and without like a back of the hand to really break it up, it does just sort of disappear, at least into my black background. Now, while we are here and talking about accessories and whatnot, might as well just go through it. So he does come with the beam saber handles, but no kind of blades, and they are in fact hollow for half of that. And they will just plug into these little voids on his butt. But my thoughts would be, if you're going to give me beam sabers, give me blades. I mean, they gave us 1 million of them for any of the kits, but can't be bothered when it comes to this. And yeah, I guess parts count, blah, blah, blah. But, beam sabers are kind of iconic. And something I didn't even consider. This is a 00 riser. It did not give us the riser sword, which is interesting. Or even the GN sword 3. But we do also have these little guys. I think these are the 2s. The little beam saber. Or, I'm sorry, not beam saber. GN sabers. Guys, it's been a minute. And you got the green paint on these bits. And then everything else is molded plastic. You do have this hinge like you're supposed to do. You got the handle that drops down just like you would do there. And the beam blade, not beam blade, but the GN blade here does rotate. In fact, you can pull it all the way out if you're keen. So that'll do like so. But of course, if you want to store said weapons, you can do so here on the hips, like that. And I'm not entirely certain. This is sort of how I always did it, because I always reached across. You didn't grab the ones over there. I do have a problem on mine. This hole right here is very loose, like super loose. Because you can see here, I can. In fact, the actual hip skirt will come out before the gun lets go. This one, literally zero effort. In fact, while I was messing with it before I really kind of figured it out, it did just pop right off. Could also be that it's not deep enough, but I don't know if that's actually the problem. I think it's just that the hole is just, yeah, because it didn't matter which sword I put in it. The hole itself is just too big. So you can only really deal with that with maybe some clear coat or something to really deal with that. Now, another thing I wanted to point out that it does come with is a Tamashi display base adapter. This little guy right there. Not this. You can buy this on your own. Does not come with the figure. So you can do that. And it does clip on, much like a normal Gundam stand dealy would do. There's a couple slots, or it'll go in the gap of where the legs are. And he will rest comfortably upon that. But of course, if you're trying to manipulate the hips, that kind of stuff will happen. So yeah, that's that for at least the Gundam. But there is something that's not a Gundam in this box. And it's the O-Riser. And it's pretty fine. It's a little bit different. The body is definitely pretty skinny in comparison. And they went with the kind of goldish orange, quote-unquote cockpit, even though that's not where the cockpit is. Cockpit's actually back here. This is more like a sensory type deal with cameras and whatnot. So there's the clear grayish version, and then there's this one. They went with this one. It does have some minor posability when you could open up the little wingy U's. You can move those around just like you should, and then of course you can open those. Whoop-de-doo. The only thing that's painted on this whole thing is just that part. Everything else, as you can see, is just bare plastic. Lots of molded detail. Like I said, this feels like super skinny. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But, I mean, the part separation is good, but it's also just lacking in some extra details. Like that would be gray and a couple other things. But I guess they only wanted to waste, sorry, so much effort on painting this thing. Now, it does have a hole in it, so let's try out the Tamashii stand. We'll go ahead and remove the adapter, which apparently has a couple of little pegs on it, I'm guessing for another type of thing. But, hey, that works. So if you're keen, you can definitely do this. I don't know. It does seem like an HG stand would probably be a little bit, like, loosen the hole. I could be wrong because it does feel like a 3mm peg. I feel like an HG stand is something like a 2mm, but it is what it is. You could get this thing in a number of poses, you know, however you want to have it flying about, you know, that kind of situation, like zhoosh, you know. So these are actually a good godsend on here. So what was it, 20 bucks, 12 bucks or something like that on Amazon for a 2-pack. So if you want that, I suggest going and get that. Maybe I'll put an Amazon associate link in the description. So if you guys want one, you can get some of that. And I will also link to this on BBTS. So that you guys, if you want one and you haven't been able to find one in the store, you don't even know where to look, much like myself, you can at least go get it where I got it. All right, so let's do the docking mode. So, all right, dorky. Okay, so we can go ahead and remove these, which are actually very snug, not gonna lie. And then you don't have to pull anything out. It's not like a, you know, motion like that. You literally just fold that down, and it reveals the peg. So imagine lasers just going from there to there. Okay, it's not very smooth. Also very not form-fitting. And you can, like, you know, redirect that slightly if you want to. The tail sort of moves as well, so you can mess around with that just a little bit if you're keen on it. And then take your riser pods, and, you know, you can spread the wings however you want to do it. Big chunky tab goes in, big old slot right here, and it does sort of tab into the GN drive right there, which is cool. I like the detail. But this is where I was talking about the idea that you lose some posability, not to mention these things are heavy. They're very dense plastic. If they were going to do these, they should have done it in the thinner ABS so that it didn't weigh down the pods so much. As you can see here, you got like super drooping. And even if you extend these all the way out, it's like, I mean, this one's a little tighter. I'll give it credit. It's a little tighter because it's only a tiny bit of friction that's happening basically right there that's holding these up at all. I mean, if you wanted the nice in-between pose, which I think you're meant to be able to stop it right here. Nope. And like I said, you can turn this so it can sort of hold them forward, which, by the way, it does have the cannons. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. So it does have the cannons underneath there. But, I mean, like, it's so awkward. Like, and you can pull up the whole backpack, I guess, if you're keen. But because that, you know, it is an issue. It's just, and it feels almost like this should be tighter, or like they could have engineered some form of locking thing to a degree. Like, I mean, something simple probably could have been worked out there. But, I mean, I guess you can only ask for so much. And speaking of asking for so much, where did my other weapon go? There it is. Let's go ahead and show off how he holds weapons. I know that was a terrible segue, but it is what it is. Handle. This is the gun holding hand, which is okay. And then you can kind of get that into that little spot there. They really, honestly, should have just hollowed that out and made that an actual plug spot so that it would hold the gun in place, like really like locked in. And then, you know, using your 90-degree elbow, basically, you can get it to that. And then take your sword one and do the same thing. on the sword holding hand, and that's pretty much how we do it. The ankles are so limited. Like, I feel like it was almost on purpose, as though, like, to keep the legs from really spreading out because the ankles could move too much. But I mean, like, they're so freaking limited that if you're gonna have it standing on its own 2 feet, it's gonna be a little bit of a, I mean, it'll stay there, but it's kind of a pig, if I'm honest. I would definitely put it on a display base if I were y'all. And also, I don't know why it seems like the knees are just slightly different. Maybe it's just me or mine. I don't know. I mean, realistically, they're molded identical front to back, side to side. It's just which side gets painted what. I'd love to see an actual painting error where somebody got 2 left legs or 2 right legs. I think that would be funny. And by the way, I didn't even point out the condensers on the arms. I mean, like, so you can get some okay poses like that. And of course, if you want to introduce the stand, you can. I mean, I don't understand why they fun. They could have just engineered the hole, no pun intended, right there, and just done it the way the HG kits do, without having to use an adapter. You know, they could have just done that and gone straight into the hips of the bot itself. That's a little extreme angle there, and just didn't want to hold up. Also, make sure your bases are tightened up if you're going to do that. It's like, because it might just want to go on you. Mine's just been holding up a Ken figure for a while, not Barbie, Street Fighter. So either way, I think that's kind of it. Like I said, I don't have any of the kits out to compare with. So take a quick break and a breather. I'm gonna take a couple more pictures, and then we'll come back for final thoughts, if I can get it to stay up on the stand. You gonna stay? I think it'll stay. Alright guys, so for final thoughts, I mean, in some ways it's an improvement over at least the Exia, but given the hindrances that the figure just inherently has, the inability for certain rotational points that would have given you significantly more poses, especially say like the blasting ability for the, the riser parts there on the GN drives, that kind of stuff, really needed at least an expressive hand to, when you're not holding a sword. Also, 2 trigger holding hands and 2 gun holding hands. 2 sword holding hands would have been preferable to 1 of each. That's just silly. Ankle articulation is definitely limited. And for a figure this weight and size, you kind of want to be a little careful how you want to do your ankles. Make sure that they're either, definitely more flexible or definitely sturdy enough to make sure you don't end up doing the splits constantly, especially if your hips aren't worth a damn. The other thing is, I'm not a big fan of these universe figures. I don't like some of the posing, or not posing, I'm sorry. I'm not a big fan of the detail work, some of the things they add, some of the things they take away. The O-riser back there actually being like super skinny and stuff like that, just for effect. Added panel details where, it would have just been a smooth thing. I get it, they're stylizing stuff. But also in some places like down here on the foot, some of the paint is not the cleanest. Along the GN condensers, same deal. And then the new differences in plastic, at least for the limited amount of figures I've handled from this line. What's going on here with the shoulders, and even like the way the feet are more of a styrene. And I think technically, yeah, these bits here are more styrene-esque. Same thing, I think. These are still softer. But it's weird. I get that they, for something they wanted to have move and be also another mounting point, such as like the shoulders. I guess they just wanted to go with something slightly lighter than this weird soft edges plastic that I'm still very much not a fan of. This is, of course, this first time we get to play with it on an actual Tamashii base. You know, that's just something I got for myself for other reasons. But the fact that it works here is, of course, great. And I am just illuminating it with just one of these little silly LED lights. It does not come with it. Doesn't come with anything like that. The stand doesn't come with it. The figure doesn't come with it. This is just me messing around to get cool thumbnails for you guys. But yeah, I mean... Oh, the other thing. Stop giving me beam sabers if there's no ability to use them or have a beam blade. You know, it's funny that I complain about having too many beam blades that are useless when it comes to the the models, but then the figures don't bother at all. Oh, I need to fix that. Yoink. So either way, so that's going to be it for this review, guys. I say if you want it, get it. You know, if it's already in your collection, let me know what you think. And I think that at least it is a step up from Exia, but that's not saying much. Those weren't great to begin with. And like, just this line isn't great to begin with. You know, if it was still in the budget, like 20 some odd dollar range, like it was originally intended to be, and even probably what the original Grandpa Gundam was, sure. If it wasn't the soft plastic and you could actually, you know, do some panel lining, I'm sure you could clear coat it and then go to town. But I'd be so scared to do anything with it, you know, to try to make it look better and then end up ruining the plastic somewhere along the lines. Or it'll look like crap because the panel liner runs into another spot and just looks really, really bad. So anyway, that's just me. And like I said, let me know what you think down below. And I've got one more thing to do left over for this double October makeup here. And that'll be coming shortly. That's going to take a bit longer than this particular review. Also, if you want to go check out Patreon, where I did the out the box for this, you know, by all means, you can go do that. Help support the channels. And I mean channels. But you can get all the out the box reactions for any figures or model kits or whatever it is I get, Transformers and the like. You get the out the boxes. 3 times a month experience where we sit and just chit chat. That's always fun. And of course, you know, vlogs, things like that, pictures, just all kinds of behind the scenes stuff, including behind the reviews for more complicated things. So I'll see you guys on the next one. And remember, as always, well, I was going to say keep on building, but I guess technically this would be keep on nerding because didn't build anything. See you guys later.